placenta, which is sixth lesson in our interbasin, right? So in uterus, we are having the layers like basal layer, spongiosum layer, zona compactum. So the spongiosum layer and the zona compactum together form the functional layer. So the functional layer along with the blastocyst, that is the functional, blastocyst get binds to the functional layer during implantation. In a functional layer only implantation takes place. So with the syncytial trophoblast, which produce mainly HCG, and it maintains the corpus luteum, and corpus luteum increases the production of progesterone, which maintains the pregnancy. So this is what takes place. Implantation in simple process is nothing but to the functional layer. The blastocyst goes and attaches there, and in the blastocyst we are having the outer syncytio-trophoblastic layer which produces HCG. So this HCG goes and activates the corpus luteum, which is maintaining up. This is also known as now corpus luteum of pregnancy, because it is mainly producing the progesterone and maintaining the pregnancy. So the corpus luteum produces the progesterone here, and the decidual change. So what is this? The endometrium decidual cells. In the endometrium only the decidual change takes place. That is, the decidual cells nothing but having the glycoproteins and lot of lipids in them. So let us see placenta. So artery blood enters the lacunar system, and the venous blood also enter the lacunar system, and blood drains here by venous, and artery blood enters the lacunar system. That is uteroplacental circulation. That is, this venous and arterial together form the uteroplacental circulation. So lacuna means in syncytial trophoblast only, like this the spaces are formed, and these are known as lacuna. So from the mother side, now the blastocyst, as I said, it is now implanted into our functional layer of endometrium. So this functional layer only, some blood vessels, spiral arteries come, and they shower, like it's like a shower. Now the blood falls in a cotyledons. In the cotyledons the exchange takes place. So this is uteroplacental circulation. Once let us understand everything one by one. So trilaminar disc undergo folding. First the trilaminar disc undergo folding. This is amniotic cavity, here the yolk sac. It also forms allantois diverticulum here. It is also called as Wittlein interstitial sac, and next called as Wittlein tube. So this all you can check in my previous video, you will understand that. So we are continuing that, it is just a continuation of that. So here you can see the yolk sac cells produce a mesodermal connective tissue cells which compress away around the amniotic cavity. What they are saying, yolk sac cells only producing the mesodermal connective tissue cell which is compressing the amniotic cavity, that is our extraembryonic mesoderm. We know this is extraembryonic mesoderm all over. This is the amniotic cavity, right? So villi towards the basalis getting overgrown, that is forming chorionic frondosum. Villi towards basalis layer. So first we need to understand what is this basalis layer. All those things I will explain now. Once let us see this diagram, so we will understand that. So for example, you can take this as a uterus of a female who is pregnant. So this is a blastocyst. So it is getting implanted like this. So now the structure changes like this, right? So this is in the endometrium. This is decidua basalis. Means in the functional layer, actually now the blastocyst get attached there, right? So the endometrium now remaining, which is alongside of where the blastocyst is implanted, is called decidua basalis. And here the chorionic villi are formed along with the if the chorionic villi into it extraembryonic mesoderm pierces, then it forms the secondary villi. So chorionic villi along with extraembryonic mesoderm form the secondary villi, and into the secondary villi if the blood vessels are entering, then it forms the tertiary villi. Remember this. So decidua basalis is formed here. Decidua parietalis is formed towards this side. This is parietalis, this is decidua basalis. So endometrium having decidua because under the progesterone. So endometrium is actually called decidua because when the endometrium is under the progesterone, mainly of corpus luteum of progesterone, which produces high amount of progesterone so that the pregnancy should be maintained. Then it is known as, so this endometrium only nothing but known as decidua. So if you call endometrium itself decidua, then you call this as decidua basalis, towards which our blastocyst is present, and the remaining is called decidua parietalis, and this is called decidua capsularis because it is like a capsule, right? It is a capsule for a blastocyst. So this is known as decidua capsularis. So right now we can understand this point. So the villi towards the basalis are overgrowing and forming chorionic frondosum. So these are these peaks you can see like spikes like this. These are the chorionic frondosum, right? And the secondary villi along with the blood vessels is called tertiary villi, as I said before. So the villi towards the capsularis, if you remember the outer capsular layer, so villi towards the capsularis are getting degenerated because this of no use. Villi we need to actually anchor or hold our that is basal layer of our, no sorry, not basal layer, to hold the endometrium of a pregnant female, right? So towards capsularis there is no use, so they just get degenerated and then now forming a smooth chorionic plate because all this villi are destroyed, degenerated. Now it appears smoother, so it is called smooth chorionic plate and is also known as chorionic lavi. This is important, right? Chorionic lavi. And now let us take here. Fetal circulatory system develop and vascular channel connect each other. Fetal blood present in the tertiary villi exchange with the maternal blood in the lacunae. So fetal blood present in the tertiary villi, fetal side, right? In the tertiary villi it will have fetal blood exchange with the maternal blood in the lacunae, because I said in the lacunae, in the cotyledon space there is lot of maternal blood, so they both exchange, of course. So the cytotrophoblast make the shell around the lacunae. Cytotrophoblast is forming shells around the lacunae. In this diagram you can understand this is a cytotrophoblast. Around the villi also it forms shell, and around whole this lacunae also it forms a shell structure around the lacunae. And the decidual plate is now nothing but the basal decidualis. So this, as I said, decidua basalis, right? This decidua basalis is only nothing but known as decidual plate. It is a part of placenta, which is important. So the chorionic plate is a fetal part of placenta. Chorionic plate is a fetal part of placenta at the frondosum site. So we need to understand this. This is chorionic frondosum, right? Here only chorionic plate is present, and decidua basalis is a decidual plate. Decidua basalis from decidual plate, and chorionic plate is from the fetal side at the frondosum side. So it's like a kidney shape, but no, decidua basalis along with the chorionic frondosum, you can say chorionic associate with the chorionic cavity together, amniochorionic membrane. Amniotic cavity actually associate with chorionic and forming amniochorionic membrane, which grow outward and binds to the decidua capsularis, and this gets degenerated now against parietalis, binds to decidua capsularis against parietalis. They are saying that amniotic cavity and those they very bigger, and they just degenerate this capsular layer, and now this very big against this decidua capsularis, it becomes like this. So yeah, so against parietalis it comes in touch with the parietalis, and uterine cavity is now completely filled up with our growing embryo or fetus, right? So here we are now. We need to understand this diagram, so then we have understood our placenta. That's it. So first let us see. Here we have cytotrophoblast outer forming a shell. These are the cotyledons, like each compartment. Here cotyledons is the maternal blood which is flowing here. This is a spiral artery from a female endometrium, and this is a chorionic plate. Chorionic plate is a fetal compartment, and decidual plate also will be here. This is a fetal. The umbilical vein is similar to pulmonary vein. We know actually veins carry deoxygenated blood, but you know pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood. So same like umbilical vein, it also carries oxygenated blood, and umbilical artery carries deoxygenated blood. So now we can understand umbilical vein carries oxygenated blood from this side towards this side, but umbilical artery carries deoxygenated from the baby to the mother. So the chorionic plate is a placenta is having mainly two parts, chorionic plate and a decidual plate. Decidual plate is of maternal origin and chorionic plate is of fetal origin, right? This we need to remember. So this is how the blood exchange takes place between a mom and a child from a pregnant woman in a fetus. So this we need to remember. And next, endothelium, extraembryonic mesoderm, cytotrophoblast, syncytiotrophoblasts are in direct contact with the endothelium cells. This you need to remember. So four layers are present inside placenta which are in direct contact with the endothelial cells, but the cytotrophoblast and connective tissue later get disappear and in mature placenta. So in mature placenta there is no cytotrophoblast, there is no connective tissue, and only now remaining is endothelium cells and extraembryonic mesoderm. That is nothing but they're having the direct contact with the endothelial cells now. Extraembryonic mesoderm and endothelial cells. So placenta membrane is nothing but it's situated between both maternal and paternal blood flow. So placenta is very required to nourish a baby because all the nutrients should pass to it, all the waste from the baby should get out by means of placenta. So placenta is a very important structure. So placenta is about 20 centimeters, is 20 to 30%, and it's a disc shaped 3 centimeters in length or diameter. And placenta towards the fetal side having umbilical cord and flat surface, and towards maternal side is bloody and having some elevations, that is cotyledons, which may be about around 10 to 15 cotyledons. So functions: produce progesterone, estrogen. So now corpus luteum is not required because it can, now the fetus can produce its own progesterone, estrogen by means of placenta. And now and the role of now corpus luteum is not so required, and the functions it's metabolic like glycogen, cholesterol, lipids, and also endocrine function like producing progesterone. HCG level is very low because after 2 months it disappears. So that is why nausea also disappears in pregnant women after 2 months, because now HCG is not required, and it is also decreased because of placenta. And estrogen, lactogen are all, and somatomimetic hormones, relaxin, ACLT, adrenocorticoid, thyrotropic. So all these many hormones are released by the placenta. And the exchange takes place, of course, for nutrients, to remove waste from a fetus, simple facilitated. So transport may be from fetus to mother like simple facilitated, or active transport takes place in active transport for amino acids in pinocytic process, mainly IgG is very important, which is given to a fetus and protect from many diseases, and also gaseous exchange. So for all these things placenta is required. So mainly viruses can easily enter the placenta. Mainly the main two viruses are like rubella virus and cytomegalovirus, which can easily pass from the mother to the fetus and by means of placenta, of course. And the bacteria usually cannot cross, but some exceptions are like Treponema pallidum, that is syphilis causing, and also Listeria species. And in the case of parasite, we are having a Toxoplasma gondii. If you remember in my lectures also, you can find this lecture in parasitology playlist. Toxoplasma gondii is caused by cats. From cats it can easily pass to a pregnant woman, so pregnant women should be careful with the cats, their fecal matter, etc. And opioid and heroin can also, these are the drugs which can also pass to the fetus. Not only that, it may also cause an addiction even in the fetus. So if the fetus, that is if the baby comes out from a mother, even she may be addicted, she or he, of course baby, may be also in an addicted form. So what are the clinical conditions related to the placenta? It's a placenta previa. So what is this? It is nothing but if the placenta directly attaches at the cervical os, that is where we need to deliver out the baby from that region. So if the placenta is only attached at that site, it would be very dangerous, because first we need to take out the placenta and it would bleed a lot and the baby may form. It may give us out a dead baby out. So it is known as filamentous placenta. And one more is, so it's very dangerous to the baby. And it's coming to amniochorionic membrane break umbilical attaches side of placenta. So this is filamentous placenta, where it gets attached amniochorionic membrane at the amniochorionic membrane. So when an amniochorionic membrane breaks the umbilical and it attaches us to the side of the placenta. So, actually it is like umbilical cord should attach normally directly to the placenta, right? You can see umbilical cord should attach directly to the placenta. Sometimes it goes through this like side pathway and attaches. Then it is known as filamentous placenta. And before one is not filamentous placenta, there will be fresh bleeding and painless bleeding in this case of placenta previa. And next coming to the umbilical artery. If the umbilical artery is present at the os, then it is known as vasa previa. This is also very dangerous condition in which again dead body of the baby is formed in the delivery, and placenta deep to the myometrium. Sometimes, as I said just now, implantation of the blastocyst or placenta formation takes place just in the functional layer, but sometimes the placenta may go deeper up to sometimes spongiosum and basal layer, but not only to endometrium, it may also reach to our myometrium layer. It is very deeper. This is called as placenta accreta. And also there is placenta precreta, that is very very deep, and it may go I think up to perimetrium also, I don't know, and also go outer. So it's like very very deep, then it is known as precreta, and if it's up to myometrium, then it is called accreta. So these are all things we completed in our discussion. Now let us see some of the points from our textbook, some diagrams which we need to understand for better. So relationship of blastocyst to uterine endometrium, blastocyst, uterine gland, stroma. And here you can see the stages in implantation. So uterine epithelium, stroma decidua. Why it is called decidua? Because it is under action of progesterone produced by the corpus luteum of pregnancy, right? So fibrin deposit, cytotrophoblast, syncytial trophoblast. Uterine epithelium is reformed now, so it has entered deeper amniotic cavity, embryonic disc. And here you can see now the manner of implantation. So decidua basalis, amnion, chorion, decidua capsularis, decidua parietalis, extraembryonic coelom, uterine lumen, myometrium. And you can see subdivisions of decidua: myometrium, decidua basalis, chorion, decidua capsularis, decidua parietalis, uterine cavity. So in the diagrams we will understand now whatever the theory we have learned with the pictorial memory. So you can see these are the villus. This is a capillary carrying the fetal blood, intervillus space containing the maternal blood, and the blood vessels in the extraembryonic mesoderm. And here we have the decidua basalis, chorionic villi, decidua capsularis, uterine lumen, chorionic frondosome forming towards where it need to attach, and chorionic lavi. So lavi is nothing but the smooth side of the capsularis because the villi degenerate over there, as if you remember. And here we have decidua trophoblast, extraembryonic mesoderm, syncytial trophoblast, cytotrophoblast, lacuna in a thickened syncytial trophoblast, lacuna enlarged. Now with the lacuna only the main process, exchange of blood, takes place within the maternal and fetal side, right? So decidua, lacunar space, trabeculae, lacunar space completely surrounding trabeculae, basalis, cytotrophoblast, connecting stalk. It forms now umbilical cord, syncytial trophoblast containing radially arranged trabeculae, extraembryonic coelom, decidua capsularis. Uterus, blood vessels, maternal blood in the lacunar space now. It has come trabeculus, lacunar space seen in A from 1, continuous space filled with the maternal blood, decidua, syncytial trophoblast, maternal blood in the lacunar space, cytotrophoblast, extraembryonic mesoderm, primary villus, syncytial trophoblast, core of cytotrophoblast, maternal blood in lacunar space. Actually, I'm like studying it very faster because we already know all the structures, we already completed the theory. And we are here now. Decidua, secondary villus, syncytial trophoblast, cytotrophoblast, extraembryonic mesoderm, maternal blood vessels in intervillus space, secondary villus, everything again same. So even capillaries are present in extraembryonic mesoderm. Territory villus when blood vessels enter, as we discussed all these things very clearly. Yeah, maternal blood vessels again the same. So this we need to see. Arrangement of anchoring villi and intervillus spaces within the placenta. Know the subdivisions of the each anchoring villus. This we need to see. This is an umbilical cord. This is the fetal surface. This is the maternal surface. So this is the placenta in between fetal and maternal. We know this. So this is dividing into, this is the intervillus space. That is, these are the villi, between villi spaces, intervillus space. So this villi are dividing into truncus cori and ramus cori. So this this is a branching. Truncus cori and ramus cori. This we didn't discuss it. So once let us see. So anchoring villi or the stem villi, it is having intervillar space and they are dividing into truncus villi and ramus villi. And here we are now. Umbilical cord, maternal blood vessels opening into intervillar space, decidua, one cotyledon. As I said, cotyledon, so blood is coming here, fetal side blood is coming, both get exchanged here, and again they get back to our fetus by vein, which take oxygenated blood towards it and provide nutrition to our fetus. These are anchoring villus. And here placenta after shedding, basis of septa, cotyledons. After shedding, it is like a stone for me. So this is layers of barrier. All we know. We got bored of reading them. Circulus, placenta, artery, vein, decidual plate, maternal septum, chorionic plate, umbilical interval. Upper uterine segment placenta, lower uterine segment. So this is a normal relationship of placenta. Actually, it should be here. So in abnormalities, what happens? Let us see. The placenta previa. So it is a first degree, then it would be here. Second degree, more nearer to the os. Third degree, fourth degree, exactly near the os. Very difficult. Baby is born for sure. Dead baby. So you can see abnormal sites of implantation. First one, normal site. So normally it should implant here. Second one is placenta previa. Third one is intestinal tubular. That is in a fallopian tube. Interstitial here, blocking the fallopian tube. And fourth one is in the completely went very far. Fifth one in abdomen. Sixth one ovarian. Very bad conditions. Here you can see anomalies of placenta. A is bidiscoidal, that is two placentas are formed, and B is you can see lobed sometime, and C diffuse, very disformal, you can't see. D placenta succensuria, it is something like different structure. E is fenestrated, one hole you can see. F is circumvallate placenta, circum like circle, right? And these are the variations in attachment of umbilical to placenta. So sometimes normally it should attach like this, umbilical cord, and be marginal, in the margin, and C is furcate. I don't understand, furcate means like this, and the filamentous insertion is like this. So this pictures, if you remember, you can understand. So relationship of a amniotic cavity, all those cavities, all now, as I said, they completely fill the uterine cavity. Deciduo basalis, placenta, connecting stalk, amnion, amniotic cavity, body of embryo, deciduo parietalis, extraembryonic coelom, deciduo capsularis, uterine cavity, chorion yolk sac. So the same is again repeated, but I found only one difference at the note. The amnion and chorion have fused to obliterate the extraembryonic coelom. Now. So this is the difference. So here see, this is extraembryonic coelom, but here now extraembryonic coelom is not there because these both are pressed together. That is, our chorion, amnion and chorion are fused together. And this is the amniotic cavity after obliteration of extraembryonic coelom and uterine cavity. Already our baby is formed here. Again all the same structures. Membranes fused amnion, chorion and deciduo capsularis also lie over the internal os. Uterine cavity has been obliterated by fusion of deciduo capillaris and deciduo parietalis. So twins, this is interesting. Dizygotic twins. A. Dizygotic means two zygotes are formed. Again two twins are also formed. Each twin has its own chorion and amnion. So there is no problem, and also each twin has its own placenta. And in B you can see B and C are monozygotic twins because only in one zygote they are sharing their contents. Monozygotic twins, only one placenta. The chorion is also common for them. The amnion can be common or sometimes separate. So you can see here the amnion is separate and sometimes the amnion is also common. They are like very similar, very friendly. So twinning, that's it. Finally we have the derivation of triplets. How triplets? A, from one ovum. So from one ovum how triplets form. So one ovum is only dividing into two, and here you can see how dividing into. B, from two ova. Sometimes even two ova may be fertilized, then also triplets may form. and two ways in which the quadruplets may be derived from two ova. Yeah, quadruplets also form like this. That's it. So here you can see the timetable of some events described in this chapter. Like on 8th day trophoblasts differentiate to cytotrophoblasts and syncytiotrophoblasts. On 9th day lacunae appear in the syncytium. 11th day embryo gets completely implanted in the endometrium. 13th day primary villi form. 16th day secondary villi form. Second month villi are seen all around trophoblasts. 4th month definitive placenta is formed. Full term placenta is shed about half an hour after birth of the baby. Of the baby or baby. So yeah, we completed this. Next we'll see formation of tissues of the body.